With just over a week to go to the NHL trade deadline, you can rest assured that Carolina Hurricanes general manager Don Waddell is working the phones hard trying to land a big fish. Waddell was in a recent interview with Sirius XM Radio and also The Athletic and said that he wants to get a top 6 scoring forward. And the Canes have been rumored to be involved in several discussions so far in the deadline. We're going to take a look at the big 3 that the Canes have been talking about. That would be Jake Guentzel with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Pavel Buchnevich with the St. Louis Blues, and of course Vladimir Tarasenko with the Ottawa Senators. And we're going to see what the Canes have to offer and how they might put a deal together. And then we'll talk about some possible other options that the Canes may have if any of those don't get done. So let's look at what the Canes have to offer as they go into these deals. They're in kind of an enviable position. The Canes, for the first time in a while, have some real cap space. According to Cap Friendly, heading up to March 8th, the Canes will have upwards of $6.5 million in cap space. And of course, they could add to that if they move any players currently on the roster in deals that they make. In fact, it's been rumored that the Canes will probably move a goalie. They have now 4 that they have available, so they could move a tender, and that would definitely add close to $1 million or more to that cap number. So this is very exciting for the Hurricanes and means that they can definitely go after the big fish, so to speak, in this deadline. So let's take a look at this. They've got the cap space. They definitely have the prospects available. You know, folks will be looking at players like Scott Morrow. They could be looking at Vasily Ponomarov. They've got Dylan Coghlan in the American League, of course, who's available. And then there's some other collegians that could get attention as well. Jackson Blake in North Dakota, and of course Cruz Lucius, who's another one of the Canes prospects in the college ranks right now, doing very well. So any of these players could be available, and we'll have to see. It just depends on what the deal is. I doubt very much they want to move Morrow, but the other guys could be possible. So let's look at from there. They've got the assets. They could also include players on the roster. We've heard, of course, Antti Ranta's name being bandied around. How about Jesperi Kotkaniemi? The Canes could possibly move him in the right deal. And they have others, some free agents that might be available in terms of Stefan Nason and, of course, Tony DeAngelo. All of these guys could be available in the right deal, and we'll just have to see how that plays out. Certainly, in any deal to get someone like Jake Guentzel, you're going to have to pay a price. Guentzel having an excellent season, 22 goals, 30 assists, 52 points in 50 games. He's a guy that would make a huge difference for the Hurricanes. The challenge here is that he's on a $6 million deal now, but looking to go to 8 or 9 in a new contract, and sitting at 29 years old, he might be a little bit older than what the Canes would be looking for in terms of doing a long-term extension. So not sure Guentzel fits the mold of what the Canes want. They could definitely put the deal together. Apparently, Kyle Dubas is looking for a couple of first-rounders, a high-end prospect, and a current roster player. I think he'll soften on that as time goes on. That seems a bit rich for an unrestricted free agent like Guentzel. Pavel Buchnevich is definitely on the radar of the Canes. There have been some rumors that the Blues would offer up Buchnevich in the right deal. That seems a little bit odd since the Blues are still very much in the playoff hunt. But Buchnevich, of course, would be of great interest to any team and certainly to the Hurricanes. He's having an excellent season. 23 goals, 24 assists, 47 points in 56 games. This guy is outstanding. He's a two-way player, 200-foot guy, kills penalties, plays the power play. He's a solid player in every way, and I think would be a wonderful addition. He's currently sitting on a $5.8 million deal to 24-25, so he's got a little bit more runway on his deal, and that would be very attractive to the Canes. Again, it'll be a first-rounder, high-end prospect, and possibly a roster player to get a guy like Buchnevich. The final one I wanted to look at the A group, of course, is Vladimir Tarasenko. Now, Tarasenko was almost a Hurricane in the summer. That was interesting. He was apparently signed, or looked like he was signed, and then things came unglued at the 11th hour, and he ultimately signed on with the Ottawa Senators. But clearly the Canes like Tarasenko. They think he can add a lot to the offense, and of course he's had great success in previous playoffs with the St. Louis Blues. So he's a guy that's been there, done that, and brings offense to the table for sure. He's got 15 goals and 38 points so far this year, so a solid season with the Sens. And again, he's on a $5 million deal, but he's a UFA this year, so the Canes could make a decision if they wanted to re-up him later or not. So those three guys, I think, are the top three that are certainly on the radar of the Hurricanes and very much would want to be in on those players. Of course, their history, as you know, with the Canes is to get in on the big deals. They tried with Jack Eichel, they tried with Matthew Tkachuk, they tried with Timo Meier, and they even tried with Erik Karlsson. So all the big deals in recent years, the Canes have been rumored to be very close. So I think we're going to see them try to get a home run here. They know they've got to move forward and make something happen. And for sure, the Canes are going to be pressing hard. Now, if that group is not available to the Canes, there are some others that might be. At the top of the list, you've got to look at Frank Vatrano with the Anaheim Ducks. You know, Frankie's having an outstanding season, a breakout year with 26 goals this year. And he's a guy that's used in all situations by the Ducks. He's on the power play, kills penalties, and does it all. He's got a team-friendly $3.65 million deal with another year on it, so that could be of interest to the Hurricanes. I think the sticking point is that a lot of teams are interested in Vatrano, and at the top of the list appears to be the New York Rangers. So depending on whether or not the Canes can get in there and get something done, that will be the big challenge for Waddell. Another guy that may be available is Tyler Toffoli. Now, Toffoli is going to be a UFA this year. He's on a friendly $4.25 million deal. He's having an outstanding season with 25 goals on the year. I think the problem here is that depending on what happens with the Devils in their playoff run, they may choose to keep him. In any case, they are having conversations with Toffoli. Not sure how they're going to play out, but if he is available, the Canes will definitely be calling. Another guy that's of interest to the Canes for sure, and has been for a while, is Nick Schmaltz with the Arizona Coyotes. Now, Schmaltz is a two-time 20-goal guy for the Yotes, so he brings some offense to the table for sure. And he's very, very strong on the power play and generally good forecheck guy. So he's someone that would fit nicely, I think, in the Canes style and would certainly bring some more offense to the top lines for the Hurricanes. He's on a $5.85 million deal. He's got a couple more years to go, so that may be of interest to the Hurricanes as well. So he would cost a first rounder, a top prospect, and others, but definitely a guy like Nick Schmaltz would be a nice add for the Hurricanes. And wrapping it up on the free agent side and players that might be available to the Canes, it would be Anthony Duclair. Now, Duclair with the San Jose Sharks has struggled through kind of a tough season. He's just got 11 goals on the year and started slow after bouncing back from surgery. So he's starting to come on now, starts to look like the Duclair of old. And, of course, he brings that blazing speed to the table, and that would be a great add for the Canes. A couple of years ago, Duclair, he really starred for the Florida Panthers with 30 goals and an outstanding playoff for them. So he brings a lot to the table. Again, a friendly contract at $3 million. He's a UFA, so the Canes could make a decision to re-sign him or not. So you've got some players out there that could be available, might not cost as much. Certainly, I think a guy like Duclair would be a second rounder, not much more. So that would be an easy deal for the Canes to pull off for sure and get them some more offense up front. So lots of opportunities with the Hurricanes, and they'll be looking at any and all potential moves that can be made over this next week or so, and you can bet that General Manager Don Waddell will be in the mix of all these deals. So we're going to keep you totally up to date. Thanks again for joining. Please subscribe and catch up with us real soon right here on Storm Tracker.